Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be not just another video game review, but the final video game review of the year 2023. I at least had to squeeze in one more. And you know what? I think there are way too many games that take place in the physical, outside, tangible world. Well, yeah, the world that we exist in, you and me, where everything can be seen on the outside with just our eyes. Hey, so for this next game, I figured let's take this from just this boring physical, tangible world to somewhere a bit more vast and interesting. The mind. And I'm of course talking about Psychonauts. So, as always, I'm not a professional video game reviewer, video game analyst, just a man who enjoys a good time, and I definitely had a very good time with this game. One of a lot of people's favorite games. A game that, a game that a lot of people love from the PS2, PS2 era, that is. Some people consider it an underrated gem, developing a bit of a cult following, even though it was I believe it was kind of considered a bit of a flop at the time, or perhaps a bit disappointing. I want to get the exact statement and see if we can have it here within the article here, because here we go. I do have the article here, mainly for reference, as I often do, but it says so it says, Psychonauts did not reach publisher Majesco's retail sale expectations. Although the game was first cited as the primary contributing factor to a strong quarter immediately following its launch, a month later Majesco revised their fiscal year projections from a net profit of $18 million to a net loss of $18 million, and at the same time CEO Carl Yankowski announced his immediate resignation, and by the end of the year the title had shipped fewer than 100,000 copies in North America. Majesco announced its plans to withdraw from the big-budget console game marketplace, and Schaefer stated that by March 2012, the retail version of Psychonauts had sold 400,000 copies. So, while those within the studio may have considered it a flop, a lot of people do look fondly upon this game. So much so that it pretty much had to get a sequel. So we got one in 2021. And so the sequel was, I believe, first announced in, at the 2015 Game Awards, but didn't come out until 2021. So, cool. It was playing by GTA 6 time. But, yeah. Oh, we're getting GTA 6. Does this mean we're getting Half-Life 3 at some point? We'll tell. I'm not qualified to make that joke because I've never actually played a Half-Life game. Yes, I know. Boo me in the comments. I know. But, nevertheless, as a lot of people look fondly upon this game, so much so that it got a sequel. But before we get into that, we'll get into that obviously later on down the line, because I definitely do want to play it after having finally gotten around to playing this one. Let's get into this one and see how this one is. So, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about the game. And you know what? I've decided when it comes to video game reviews and stuff, just like the movies, I'm going to try to also give a plot summary as well for the game. So, so start starting off with the plot summary. So, there's a camp that they have. It's supposed to be it's called Rock Psychic Summer Camp, but it's supposed to be or Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp, I should say. But it's supposed to be from the surface just a regular summer camp, but really it's training its campers to become Psychonauts. But somebody sneaks in who's not supposed to be part of the camp, that being young Rasputin, and aka Raz. So he's caught by Psychonauts, and until his dad gets there to pick him up, they decide, keep him around. At first they don't want him to take part in the activities, but they do allow him to take part in basic braining, which is pretty much like basic training, but for the Psychonauts, of course, using their psychic powers. Hosted, of course, by Coach Oleander, in his mind, and literally in his mind. But Raz takes part in that. But that ends up going well. Also, he's brought in by Agent Sasha 9 for extensive training, including a brain tumbler experiment. And within the brain tumbler experiment, Raz keeps having a reoccurring dream, visualizing a dark tower within his dream, and Dr. Lobato, who's a extended extracting in children's brains, including his fellow campers, including Dojin, which of course Raz starting to befriend some of his fellow campers, that is, but Raz not quite able to do so just yet because he hasn't fully trained his psychic abilities. He's got to get more psychic abilities. But eventually what happens is that eventually what happens is Raz learns what all these brains are wanted for. That's to power a literal think tank, and which is a tank-like machine, pretty much that's going to be used as a weapon of war. So eventually, Agent 9 and Vidello, one of the other teachers / psychonauts at the camp, is kidnapped, as well as his fellow campers. So Raz has to pretty much save the day and save everyone. And so first. First, he has to go to the Thorny Towers home of the Disturbed Insane Asylum, and he also links up with Agent Cruller, who we've seen around as kind of like janitor / pretty much a handyman throughout the camp, but turns out he's a secret psychonaut and a high-ranking one, not really out in the field anymore because of previous events, but Raz essentially built a bond with him, and we see them interact throughout the game, and including Raz being able to contact him via a piece of bacon, but as defeats the lungfish after he tried to eat his friend and / girlfriend / fellow camper Lily. Raz frees her. He's a lungfish from the mind control, and so the lungfish is then able to take him from one side of the camp to the other, pretty much one side of the lake to the other, that being from the camp over to the asylum. And there he meets Boyd, the guard, or who is supposed to be the guard. He tries to get in, but Boyd says, "Nope, can't get in. I don't have the key. The milkman has the key." It turns out Boyd is the milkman, and as Raz goes into his brain and liberates him, and frees him from his issues, so Boyd does become the milkman, and his milk is delicious. Remember that, and he is the milkman, and his milk is delicious. So Raz frees him, sees some other inmates at the asylum, including Fred, Gloria, and Edgar. So he frees them from what they're going through as well. Eventually, he takes the elevator up to where Dr. Lobato is, and his assistant frees his fellow campers' brains, and also fights Coach Oleander, and fights the tank. However, in the process of fighting the tank, and the tank, of course, has come to life at this point. In the process, Raz is hit with sneezing powder and accidentally sneezes out his own brain, which I'm sure is something that most, if not all of us, have been afraid of doing at some point. Raz actually does it. So thank you, Raz, for allowing our childhood fears to come true. So Raz has to get his brain back, but he decides to try to do so by launching his brain to the think tank, but it causes his brain to essentially become merged with Coach Oleander's brain. There he meets young Oleander, and figures out why why Oleander's doing the things that he's doing and working with Dr. Lobato. Oh, that had being because of his own childhood trauma concerning his father, who was a butcher. Or so with that, Raz comes to terms with Coach Oleander's father, comes to terms with his own father, but his real father comes to save the day, and stops the twisted sort of evil image that Raz has of him in his mind. And so the day is saved there. Everyone is freed. Oleander goes back to normal, but however. Lily's father, aka the head of the Psychonauts, is kidnapped. So the Psychonauts at the end, after having made Raz an official Psychonaut, go off to save him. And that's how it ends. It ends on the cliffhanger, and of course this sequel does explore that more. So with that out of the way, let's get into what I liked and what I disliked. So starting with what I liked, this game has quite a bit of charm. Like there is a lot of fun with this game, even just from a writing standpoint. We're not even getting to the gameplay, but from like a writing standpoint, from like a story standpoint, this game has quite a bit of charm. Like there's a lot of funny jokes. There's a lot of somewhat cynical humor throughout. Don't let the look of this game fool you. It is T14, and they do make full use of it. With the story having some darker tones and elements, but also some funny tones and elements. There are a number of moments that will make you chuckle, but in something that this game is often praised for, though a lot of people love this game for, or like the way the story is set up and the people that Raz interacts with, like the way mental health is treated in this game, and the subject of mental health, people having mental problems, mental disorders, things that they're going through mentally, the way that this game handles it is phenomenal. Showing that these people aren't fully insane into where it's comical. Like you do feel for these people. Like these people had lives, and one of the collectibles, which we'll get into when we get into the gameplay, but you see what these people have gone through, and you definitely feel for them, and when you liberate them from their problems that they're going through, like you feel good about doing so. Like you feel happy that they're getting the help that they need, and that they're essentially free from their trauma and what they're going through, including Raz as dealing with his own trauma and coming to terms with it, how he views his father, how he views the world around him, and how that also spills into the other characters that Raz interacts with. How mental health is treated is very, very well done, and they pay, I should say, a lot of respect to it, and a decent amount of attention to detail. Like they don't, it's not like, what's the best way to describe this? It's not totally trivialized, if that makes any sense. Like it's treated as a big deal and important deal, and obviously some jokes are cracked, but they also treat it as a big deal. For the like when they joke about it, but when it's time to take it seriously, they definitely do take it seriously. And the way it's explored, it's not cringe-inducing, and is very heartwarming in quite a few areas, and I'm sure it's moments where some people can relate to it, say, and like, hey, these are what the characters go through. I can kind of relate to this, because as for some people, these are issues they also struggle with. So, the way that the narrative really explores mental health awareness is getting help for mental health, and I should say, it's phenomenal. Like it's very, very well done, and that's one of the things that a lot of people love about it. And like I said, the overall charm of the game, even spilling into the world. It's like the worlds, not only are the worlds pretty fun to look at from a visual standpoint. Like visually, this game looks very, very well very good, I should say. Like this game looks phenomenal, especially for its time. Like this game came out in 2005, and it still looks really really nice. Even about even about 18 years later, it still looks really good. The visuals are fantastic, but they also reflect like, the characters and everything. For example, Boyd, when you go inside his mind, in the level known as the Milkman Conspiracy, which a lot of people which is a lot of people's favorite level from the game, and honestly, I think it might be mine as well. Like that being kind of that neighborhood, but it's all topsy turvy. He's showing Boyd just wants to live a normal life. Or going into Edgar's mind, like a lot of art themes, like him loving to paint and stuff, but the bull is rampaging through, and it's rampaging on a hoop, and the bull is literally named El Odio, which translates to hatred, and that hatred constantly running through his mind because of what Edgar went through. And without trying to get into too many spoilers, like the game is very smart in how it handles things like, hey, and how things are placed. Things are placed very intricately and very specifically. Very like things. It doesn't seem like are done on accident when it comes to how things are presented and handled in the game. Like things seem like they are very much on purpose because they're there to describe a point. They're there to have a point. Like it's not like an accident, like, oh, we just accidentally happened to do this and it happened to work out. No, the game is very deliberate on the points that it wants to make. It knows the points that it wants to make. It can, especially when it comes to its characters, and they know how to make them, and that I think is very well done. And like I said, the worlds are visually fantastic and visually very fun to look at. So all that being blended, like the humor, how mental health is treated, the visuals, the worlds and stuff, already the game's off to a great start. But then there's the gameplay, and the gameplay is pretty fun. You get to unlock various psychic abilities, such as telekinesis, levitation, pyrokinesis, so being able to use moves like that, and it's not like other games where something is introduced, but then it's quickly forgotten about and you won't use it for the rest of the game. No, but like there are different areas where if it's introduced earlier in the game, it will come back like later on in the game, and you find yourself using it throughout, and using your different abilities to traverse the puzzles, and so the game does have a decent amount of puzzles to solve within, and so finding the solution based off not only your own psychic abilities, but other items that you're able to pick up within the levels. And an example of this is the Milkman Conspiracy, where in order to blend into certain areas, because the different agents that are within Boyd's mind, and in order to blend in with him, you have to find different items, such as a watering can, or a thing of flowers, or a telephone, and so several puzzles, and being able to figure it out, really testing your brain, some pun intended. So those are pretty fun, and traversing around the worlds, especially when you get abilities later on, does become quite a bit of fun. Especially when it comes to the double jump, you definitely gotta nail the double jump. And this game is very generous when it comes to its double jump, because you do get quite a bit of height, especially with the levitation ability, which essentially allows you to jump pretty far and even have like a glide / float ability for Rasputin. It makes traversing some of the levels, especially having the later levels and going over to the earlier levels, it makes those pretty fun and pretty cool. The different abilities that Rasputin is able to unlock, and they're all, and there are quite a few collectibles to get within the game. There's arrowheads, which is kind of the game's currency. There's health pickups, and which is described as mental health, allowing Rasputin to maintain his psychic projection in people's minds. And there is psychic levels. I forget the exact name of it, but psychic projections. It's pretty much like the game's live counter, and I do like how all the stuff in the terminology is related to psychic or mental stuff like that, to keep with the game's overall theme of being inside the mind, and which does make sense. You're also able to pick up ammo for Rasputin's abilities, mainly mainly the marksman badge, and things are presented as badges, which makes sense because it is still a summer camp after all. Also, what's more summer camp than badges but so stuff like that really makes the game a lot of fun, and it definitely gives the game an identity. You're able to go back and collect things. You have collectibles such as figments, in which collecting enough of them will allow you to gain not just more psychic abilities, but more potency to to the psychic abilities you already have. You're able to get psi cores, which kind of also do something similar. You have the cobweb duster, which collect mental cobwebs to also kind of do the same thing. So working towards the same goal, but having those different collectibles. You have vaults, which not only give out treasure, but also give you little slideshows to give more background into the characters, and those are pretty cool to see, to help flesh out the characters through those slideshows as you see their journeys and what they've been through. Then there's emotional baggage, which takes kind of a literal form, but another mental health related concept, that being emotional baggage. But in this case, it's like literal baggage, like suitcases or purses or steamer trunks. You have to find the tags and match them with the bags, and you get a cute little animation when you do so. So all that stuff, just showing even more of the game's charm, and making the game even more fun to play and fun to traverse, like interacting with the especially interacting with the characters. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of colorful, memorable, fun characters, which I think is one of the main reasons why a lot of people hold this game so fondly, and deservedly so. Who is those aforementioned characters, and they are characters that you can find yourself latching on to. Like some of those characters, like I definitely, even though obviously they're fictional and everything, and a part of me hopes they're doing well and everything now, since they were helped out by Rasputin. In terms of what I didn't really like as much about the game, some of the visuals, like the art style, is really good, but also a bit strange. Like it almost looks somewhat, I don't necessarily want to say grotesque, but a bit weird at times. And obviously that was done on purpose, I'm sure, and that's the look they may be going for. But I know some people may not be super duper fans of it. Like some of the designs do look a little bit strange, and the other thing is some areas can go from relatively easy to stupid difficult, especially the last level, the meat circus. It's like the difficulty curve did pretty much one of these. Like obviously the difficult levels, no, I'm no stranger to them, but that difficulty spike, like again, like uber difficult out of nowhere, was pretty annoying and not super duper fun. But there were moments where it was almost even frustrating at times. So that also wasn't really the biggest fan of. And sometimes I mentioned how the game is generous with its jump, but sometimes the game can be a bit too generous to the point where things do feel a little bit floaty at times when it comes to Rasputin. But otherwise, those are just kind of minor nitpicks. Still a really fun game. I definitely recommend checking it out, and I can't wait to see what they have to offer in the sequel. And who knows, if I get PlayStation VR, I might even play the PlayStation VR or game that they have. But nevertheless, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the game. Do you dislike the game? Did you dislike my review of the game? Let me know. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.